Hi, welcome to another video. First of all, I would like to thank you guys so much for passing 500 subscribers, which might not seem like much, but it's a honestly an amazing achievement to me. So thank you so much for that. On that note, I'd like to apologize for how infrequent my upload schedule has been. I'm finishing my bachelor's degree this year, and honestly, it's the busiest I've been in years. So. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. The free time I have to play Geoguessr and sort of do some content out of that, I try to stream about twice per week. So I will put my link to my Twitch in the description. So follow me there if you want. I usually stream Tuesdays and Sundays. And this coming Sunday, I will be participating in in Geopre, which is a event where a bunch of high-profile GeoGuessr streamers compete. So if you're interested in that, yeah, make sure to follow me. But anyway, onto the subject of this video. A while back, I did a um, Europe no moving streak attempt. I actually got on the leaderboard at the time. I think I was third. Uh, I didn't end up getting onto the leaderboard now, since obviously I have been bypassed by other people since then. But I did pass my personal best, so I thought I would kind of go over it and try to do some explanations of my thought processes and stuff. So yeah, let's start. I was using Mappers Europe map. I should say I completely forgot to like enable no moving mode, but I can promise you I never moved throughout this video except once accidentally one frame, which didn't give me any advantage. So I don't know if I don't know if that would disqualify me from the record anyway. I don't think so. But anyway, we are starting off in what is Poland. I don't think there are any explicit clues here. However, from a general landscape, we see it's a little bit hilly. It also has the, I can go back a little bit actually. Yes, let's pause it that. You can see there's a little bit of rolling hills, but it also looks similar to Baltic countries. So very lush, but sort of also sort of cold. We see some coniferous trees, some deciduous trees as well. We see this house, which is fairly colorful for the Baltic countries. Also, we see this is just kind of not the kind of architecture you would see in the Baltic countries. It's colorful, it's multi-story, it's made of brick most likely, or stone. So yeah, yeah. Here you can see the sort of rolling hills and the sort of I think Baltic or Eastern European fields that you kind of associate with that whole part of the world. Um, yeah, sort of the what made me go Poland here was just the architecture. Kind of tough to pick out any particular elements there that would make me decide just on their own. A lot of these rounds, honestly, especially harder rounds, come down to what we like to call vibes. That you kind of pick up as you play the game that are kind of hard to explain, but I'll try to do my best. Anyway, we're moving on to another Polish round. Here, once again, architecture plays an important role. We see the church, which is made out of red brick, which is typical for sacred architecture around the North Sea. Or North Sea, sorry. Yeah, I mean North Sea, but also Baltic Sea. In this case, this is kind of reminiscent of like the German Baltic Sea architecture, but also has a modern twist on it, which is interesting because Poland is actually one of the few European countries where you'll often see modern churches, since yeah, religiosity is going down in most of like Western Central Europe, but it's still really high in Poland, and obviously there wasn't much investment done in sacred infrastructure before 1989. So yeah, that's something you can see quite often. Also, wanted to point out here are these poles. These are Polish poles. Yes, I've made that pun so many times on stream. You see they have these like really narrow, slender holes in them. They're also made of concrete. So yeah, that's one good thing. Also, you can see a whole lot more like this dark red brick. Actually, these balls can be kind of difficult to differentiate from Hungary and Romania. So what could help you here is definitely the architecture with the red brick, which you with this like real dark red brick actually, which you'd be unlikely to see in either of those countries. There are more. I could do more in depth, but I'm gonna do a special on uh, architecture in Poland pretty soon, so I will go more into detail there. Uh, Actually, if you haven't seen that, I'm doing specialized streams on architecture in different parts of Europe. So far, I've done Western Europe, I've done parts of Central Europe, and I've uploaded some of them on YouTube. So if you have the time, invest and the willingness to learn about that really in depth, you can see that. And I also, as I said, streamed them on Twitch. So yeah, if you'd like to catch that live, once again, follow me. Anyway, here we move on, and I see a sign for Skopje. So this is pretty straightforward. So we are in North Macedonia. I was a little bit worried that it could be like an old sign or like an international sign from Serbia, since it was pointing south. But I think I just misinterpreted it. Anyway, we also see a bollard that you can sometimes see from North Macedonia. It was very hilly. Just an overall Macedonian look. Also, we were by the highway, which you'll often see, often be on in North Macedonia. Okay, this is kind of an interesting ground. We are in the Alps. We see an Italian plate which is actually pretty narrow and has double blue lines on both sides. Um, Yeah, also on this house, wanted to point out these windows. These are sort of kind of hard to explain, like what's so particular about them. But this kind of like metallic brownish look with this triple divider is something that's kind of typical for Italy for me. You don't see that very often, but when you do see it, it's usually Italy. Also, you can see like some broad signs of Alpine architecture with these very broad roofs, lots of wooden elements, big balconies. But also, it's not as wooden as you would see in like Austria or Switzerland. It's which as well kind of points you to Italy. It's also Gen 4 camera. Mm, and I think I don't know. Yeah. Also, you can see here on these roofs. These are slate roofs. So when you know you are in Italy, a region like in one of the Alpine regions where these slate roofs are very common, especially this type of slate roof are very common, is like western, like northwestern Italy, around Piemonte and Val d'Aosta. So along with that word, the Venice, kind of make me decide this could be Val d'Aosta. Kind of maybe gonna give me those vibes, so I plonked it, and I got the art municipality. So that was very nice. Yeah, I was kind of celebrating there. You don't get very nice guys like that very often. Okay, here clearly we have some Eastern European vibes. Uh, that's a bunch of text I can't really read, but unfortunately I zoom on this garbage truck and uh, oh, I'm sorry about that. I didn't think to zoom in beforehand. I can just an excerpt of Polish. You can see here. Yeah, this says najlepsze. With the CZ here. Um, yeah, so that's Polish. It means best. So I decided to go Poland. You also see these trees. I kind of forget what they're called actually, but they're very common in Eastern Europe. These like real tall, slender ones. Well, I know what they're called in my native language. I don't know what they're called in English. I used to know that. Yeah, so that those five countries. Okay, here. Unfortunately, I've seen this location before. I think somebody was asking on Discord what the clue there was. However, it is identifiable on its own. First of all, if you look at these trees, they have bits of paint on them. That's actually not the best example, but I can tell you this is Romania. In Romania, they often paint the bottoms of the trees. I don't know why they do it. It might be some kind of uh, yeah, anti-parasite thing or whatever. But yeah, you can see bits of paint there. Also, this road is very broken down, very broken down. Also, kind of an indicator of Romania. We are in the summer and it's very flat, so uh, probably somewhere in the southern bits of Romania, which is the flattest. Yeah. Okay, here we are probably somewhere in the British Islands based on the architecture here. Also, we can see some yellow backplates, so that tells us we're not in Ireland, but we're actually in the UK. These houses are made of stone rather than red brick, so that makes me think we are like more towards northern England. However, I forgot that stone is actually the predominant material also in the southwest and like Cornwall and around Bristol. So there was a little bit of an error, but I got the country right. Okay, here I was a little bit unsure here. We are sort of in the early spring, I would say, or like late autumn. It's very flat. It's very foggy. We don't have any kind of road lines. We only have this sort of farmhouse to work with. I can tell you this is the Po Valley in Italy, or sort of not exactly. It's like adjacent. It's in Lombardy. But what tipped me off here was first of all a combination of factors. First of all, this house. We have a little we have this bright red roof, which are typical for Southern Europe. But also kind of like slanting. It's more like terracotta. It's not as bright as you would say in like Portugal. Um, it's also made out of stone. Mm. And another thing that kind of pointed me to the Po Valley here is the fogginess. The Po Valley, since it's kind of squashed in between the Apennine range and the Alps, it gets very foggy in the very humid and very foggy in the winter. So yeah, that's kind of a context clue there. I was hesitating if it maybe wasn't Croatia, but in the end I decided to go with it, and it worked out. So yeah. Okay, here. This is I was scared here, but um, those of you who play Battle Royale a lot might recognize this place. This is Andorra, and what tipped me off there, first of all, the look of these mountains. They are very tall, obviously, as you can see, but not quite as tall and like rocky and snowy at the top as the Alps would be. Um, and also specific to Andorra are these like colorful painted poles which like measure the height of the snow. Uh, it's possible that they use like similar looking ones elsewhere, but this very colorful look is sort of unique to um, unique to Andorra. Also, we have yellow road signs, which honestly I can't remember off the top of my head if that's an Andorran thing or not, or if these are like uh, if these are like temporary or whatever. But I think it is an Andorra thing, which is like in contrast to the rest of the Iberian Peninsula and France. You usually see yellow road signs in or like yeah, you usually see in either Scandinavia or Poland. So I went for Andorra, and I was correct. And here we are in Finland. So this is again kind of a vibe score. We have a Gen 2 camera, which is prevalent, very prevalent in Finland. It's also winter with lots of snow around, and the vegetation is a combination of like tall spruces and birch trees, which suggests we are pretty far north. And we also have some open fields. It's very flat. It's also a dirt road. Finland has a lot more dirt roads covered than Sweden, probably because it's less densely populated. Yeah, we're quite a bit more north than I expected, actually. Through the flashing there, I don't know what happened. Yeah, we are on to the next round, and this is Belgium. You can see on this plate that it's kind of the text on Belgian plates is kind of reddish, whereas and the background is white compared to the Netherlands, where both plates are yellow. Also, when you look at this architecture, you can see it's a lot of red brick, but also kind of different, like kind of toned down compared to the Netherlands. And we have these triple divided windows, which are pretty rare in the Netherlands. Again, if you if you're interested in this kind of stuff, if you'd like to know a little bit more in depth, watch my video on the architecture of Western Europe, which I have uploaded on my channel. Yeah, I went Northern Netherlands since Northern Netherlands, Northern Belgium. And this reminded me more of the Dutch-speaking part, and it was correct. Okay, we are on to another one. We see Cyrillic, so obviously it's going to be either Russia or Ukraine. Since yeah, this just doesn't look Bulgarian or Balkans. It's very dry, so very dry. Actually more dry than you could get basically anywhere in Europe. So there was only pretty much only area where this could be, and it is this bit of Russia south of Volgograd, like in Astrakhan Oblast, and that's indeed where it was. Next up, we are back in the British Isles. We have English there, and here on this car we have a plate with a sort of red strip, and that is unique to the Isle of Man, which actually, interesting fact, isn't technically part of the United Kingdom. It's like I forgot what it's called. Yeah, but it's technically like a just part of the Crown of Britain. So yeah, that is unique to that. Mm, yeah, sort of pointed it out. So when you know you're in the British Isles and you see this red strip, we're guessing in the Isle of Man. Yep, it's a pretty good way to get over 4,900 points. And we are back in the British Isles. This is one of those rounds that can be pretty tricky to decide between the UK and Ireland. What made me tip towards England here, or the UK, or well, I had this guess in England. It's the general look of the area. It's very hilly, but also more like a rolling hills. Whereas in Ireland, you're usually either pretty flat or like you have these like actually mountainous regions, like very hilly, rolling heathlands and stuff. Also, there's quite a lot of forest here. In my in my in my experience, Ireland doesn't have a lot of forest. It's either just fields that like kind of surrounded by rows of trees or heathlands or stuff like that. But just just patches of forest like that. That's more certain areas in the UK. Okay, we're on to the next round. Here I just zoomed straight into this road sign. We have French language there. Uh, these white uh, these white road signs. I decided to go for southwest France because of what the sort of the vibes that the buildings gave me there. It was kind of a wild call. I didn't have any particular reasons for that, but it worked out. Okay, next up, we are back in the British Isles once again. You can see there's a very lush look. We have some hedges, some rolling hills. We have English on that gate there. We have stone buildings. Um, yeah, we have heath-covered hills there. So contrary to what I just said, uh, yeah, I decided to go for Wales. what made me tip towards Wales over Ireland was first of all the look of that building, which was like exposed stone, whereas in Ireland it would usually be painted. Also, it's a little bit too hilly for a farmed area in Ireland. The mountains in Ireland tend to be usually quite barren. And also I've seen mountains, a lot of mountains like this in Wales before, both on Geoguessr and like on pictures and videos. So yes. Here, this is somewhere in the Balkans. We can see the language. Uh, for example, here in the word parfumeria, this ia ending, that's kind of typical for South Slavic languages. Mm, I don't know any if there are any like specific clues here. Uh, so once again, I kind of went off vibes here. Yeah, here I accidentally moved. Yeah, one frame. Uh, I was hesitating between Croatia and Serbia here because there were no rifts in the sky, so probably not Montenegro. Also, the architecture just doesn't really look right. Uh, I couldn't see any Cyrillic, which is kind of weird. However, Serbia and Montenegro are pretty weird about language. Like sometimes it's all Cyrillic, sometimes it's all Latin. You can't really rely on that. And when I looked at these buildings, like these one-story, like really wide buildings with these red roofs, it just kind of reminded me more of like, yeah, Serbian architecture than Croatian. Um, I probably don't want to get too much into detail of why I decided to go that. Yeah, I'm gonna do probably one a dedicated stream on that one day. So yeah, we are on to the next location. Here we are somewhere in either Russia or Ukraine, because of the overall look and the buildings and stuff. This is kind of strange to me because the church over there seemed very reminiscent of that Baltic Gothic look that I talked about, which is very common in like Germany, northern Poland, Denmark, and but I was pretty certain this was either Russia or Ukraine, so I was kind of confused by that. I considered it could be like a and this building as well is kind of reminiscent of that architecture style. So I was kind of considering whether this was like maybe part of Ukraine that used to be ruled by Poland, or maybe maybe Austria-Hungary. And then I zoomed down and saw the red car, which is unique to parts of Ukraine. So I thought, yeah, okay, well, we'll see. And it didn't end up being either of those, I think. So I probably just analyzed that wrong. Or maybe the administration at the time just decided to hire like a German and Polish architect, who knows. Okay, we are here in a very different place. Here we can see some German. Even if you can't read it entirely, you can see the O with umlauts at the start, which probably says something Österreichisches or Austrian. You can also see the Austrian bollards here, which are very similar to the Slovenian ones. However, whereas the Slovenian ones have this red strip on both sides, in Austria they have a red strip on one side and a gray strip on the other side. So that's an easy way to tell them apart. Yeah, also we have very alpine architecture here. We have some more German on this banner here, so that kind of confirms that. And you can see the backside of the boards here. And in the distance, I have some snow-covered peaks, which are a lot more common in Austria since they have kind of the taller parts of Alps. Yeah, and this is also Gen 3, and we have very tall mountain peaks, so this is probably going to be Western Austria. Because Northern and Eastern Austria is usually Gen 4, and it's less mountainous than that. Yeah, that's pretty close. And on route number 5, you can see we're probably somewhere in the low countries. We are extremely flat. We have some lots of water elements. We have wind turbines. So yeah, big sort of low country vibes here. But where to decide between the Netherlands and Belgium? Well, originally I was gonna go to the Netherlands here, but then I sort of started to analyze it a little bit more. So based on the weather meta, we can see we have sort of early spring weather, which is present in some parts of Belgium, whereas I don't think it is present in the Netherlands. It might be. There are some wintry or like autumny bits of the Netherlands. I don't think there's anywhere where there's like early spring. So yeah, that's kind of what made me go there. Also, we can see this psychopath sign, which yeah, which I couldn't entirely recall, but it's not something I've ever seen in the Netherlands. So it kind of made me tip over to Belgium as well. And also, I will zoom into some buildings as well a little bit. Yes, you can see some of those houses in the backgrounds, especially this one. They have like black or very dark roofs. Well, that can happen in the Netherlands, especially in the south. It's a lot more common in Belgium, so all those factors combined just made me tip there, and it ended up being correct. Yes. Okay, so that's number 20. I think my previous record was 26, so that was a good sign. Okay, here, this is based on the architecture, with like a very whitewashed look. We can see we are either in Portugal or Spain, or so we have the language there. Uh, I wasn't entirely. I was very confident this was Portugal based on those poles, with those little holes in them. These are, I think, specific to Portugal. However, I wasn't 100% sure, since I thought that maybe I'm misremembering, and this could be like inland southern Galicia or Asturias in northern Spain, since they look very similar. So I decided to look at the yeah, the language a bit more. However, also what should have hit me off is that we can see some olive trees here, and the overall look is a lot warmer than what you see in those regions. But I was kind of paranoid, I guess. Uh, yeah, but here on the side we can see the X, which is very prominent in Portuguese compared to Spanish. Um, and also, if I zoom in onto this text, we can see this the C with the little thing at the bottom, and here the O. That's also unique to Portuguese over Spanish. So I was still a little bit nervous because you can also see those letters in Galician, which is the language spoken up here around Santiago de Compostela. But with those polls, I just thought I'd go for it, and yeah, I was correct. Here we are in Sweden. I was using the architecture here. Uh, Again, if you want to go more in depth, you can watch my video. Oh, actually, you can't. I'm so sorry. I actually forgot to upload the stream I did on Nordic architecture to YouTube. But yeah, this is something I call the Nordic mansard. This is yeah, this roof shape combined with this color scheme of yellow and white. It's very common in Sweden, especially in the suburbs. But it can also have some concrete clues here. We have the language here, which the street name ends in Vägen, with the A with the umlauts, which is Swedish for street. In um, in Norwegian, the word would be VEG, and in Danish it would be VEJ. So yeah, that's something that you can use. We also have some typical Swedish houses with this red and white color scheme. So I was assuming we're somewhere relatively north, but I'm actually really bad in telling Sweden apart from down to the region. So yeah, also one more thing you could see there were those yellow road signs. As I said, typical to Scandinavia and Poland. And here we are back in Sweden. Here I can see a little bit of the language. These by the way, signs actually are distinct by a region. I used to remember some of these. I didn't remember this one, so I wasn't entirely sure. You can also see some birch trees. You can see the yellow road sign. you can see these short stripes on the sides of the road, which are virtually always present in Sweden. Uh, so yeah, this wasn't very difficult. The thing about this short stripe is, compared to Norway, these are a lot shorter. In Norway, they are a bit longer, about twice as long. And also, they are always here, whereas in Norway, they are there only where there's no center strip. So, yeah, that's something you can use. And in Finland, they don't use stripes on the sides of the road. Virtually never. I don't think I've ever seen stripes in Finland. Yeah, so that was correct. Here we have another, yeah, British Isles round. It can be very difficult in country streaks. We have a Gen 2 camera. We have a very flat area with like a power plant in the background there. You have some scattered trees and stuff. I was hesitating here a lot. In the end, I decided to go for Eastern England. First of all, because of the look of this road. In Ireland, a lot of country roads have this like dirt strip running in the middle. I don't know, there's a word for it. I just keep forgetting these specific English terms, but yeah. But whereas here we have like just smooth concrete. Also, something about the way these fields with the scattered trees and stuff look just doesn't strike me as Irish. Also, it was very flat, so which is typical for Eastern England, around that area around North Sea, like East Anglia, Lincolnshire, and yeah, this whole region. Also, now that I'm looking at it, you could barely see an outline of a house with a red roof in the background, which whereas most houses in Ireland have black roofs. So that was correct. And here we are moving on to some typical Eastern European route. This was a little bit confusing because the car had a reddish plate, which I told you a while ago was a Belgian thing. However, uh, it's obviously not Belgium. I don't know what that was. It might have been some sort of temporary plate. I really have no idea. It's just not typical for this country. Definitely. It's I can tell you it's Romania. I was hesitating a little bit. I was looking for the cars since Romania, a particular car brand that's very prevalent in Romania is Dacia, since it is made in Romania. So if you know your cars, you can look for that. I couldn't see any Dacias around, so I looked at these houses, and the way they looked just made me very reminiscent of Romania, especially these little balconies with these like yeah, that some people have covered and turned into extra rooms. That's something you see a lot in the Balkans, especially in like Romania, Bulgaria. This looked a little bit too warm to be Bulgaria. Mm, it's also very dusty, which is kind of a typical look for like southern Romania. Looked very poor. It just gave me Romanian vibes. Yes, so, like specifically southern or eastern Romanian vibes. Yeah, so that was correct. And we're back in Scandinavia, sorry, Nordic countries. You can see it's autumny, it's very cold, and we can see some text here, which is Finnish. I talvi sapitoa. Mm. Finnish is extremely distinctive compared to other Nordic countries. Lots of doubled vowels and stuff. Also, you can note the autumny camera, which occurs in a lot of Finland. So that's something you can look for. Okay, and we're continuing. Here we have another tiny Italian plate with the blue stripes on both sides. Very distinctive. I was studying the architecture here. You can also see some Italian on that sign over there. In the end, I decided this looked very similar to Tuscan architecture with these sort of stone awnings on the corners of buildings and these green shutters and this kind of yellow and white color scheme. wasn't entirely sure, but I decided to go. It was reminding me of like northern Tuscany, especially with how hilly it is. So I decided to go in the like northernmost corner of Tuscany around Lucca, and it was correct. Yes, we're just over the border in Emilia-Romagna, actually. Okay, next up, we have an Eastern European round. I was a little bit worried here because I was worried it could be like one of the Baltic countries. However, I will turn it back a little bit. Yes, I will pause it there. Yes, you can see the Polish poles once again. These very narrow, slender holes, which don't appear in any of the Baltic countries. So yeah, that kind of put my mind at ease. Um, Also, we have a Polish name here. I'm pretty sure that's a town. I'm not entirely sure though. Could just be a name. Yeah, I was completely off in my assessment of where this was gonna be. I thought the architecture looked like similar, like German. So I thought it could be like Western Germany. However, that's not the only part of Poland that used to be German. So it was former East Prussia. Next up, we have like very Carpathian architecture with these like narrow houses facing the road, with like this road sloping back. Um Also, metal roofs, very common feature in this little Carpathian area, like in Romania, Slovakia. Uh, but the main clue here are these poles, and the language, obviously. Once again, you can see like concrete poles with like really narrow, slender holes. So what differentiates this from Poland is first of all the hilliness. Like there's only one bit of Poland which is very hilly like this. Also the architecture, which is very bright red roofs. These houses facing the road, and especially this language here, the Valea Paco something Louis. This Louis ending Lui is very common in Romanian, since it is a Romance language, not a Slavic one. Once again, I will get into the specifics of architecture in different countries over time. So I went for the Carpathian area in Romania, and I was correct. And here we are back in the in Russia or Ukraine. We have these like all wooden houses, kind of yeah, a little bit rundown look. We have a former USSR road marker as well. Mm, I was looking if I could see a red car, which would point me to Ukraine. However, these houses, the way they look, just made me think more of like northern parts of Russia. So I decided to go kind of hedge in the middle, and I paused it. Sorry. Yeah, it was actually a lot more northern than I anticipated. Like compared to the Baltic countries, there, I think Baltic countries would be the roads would be generally a lot better, and the houses would be one a bit more colorful, and also two like not all like this brown wood. They would be like white or red or yeah, something like that. Oh, this is an interesting round. So I can tell this is Italy based on this sign here, which says Passo Carabile. Carabile, sorry. Also, we can see a Italian plate over there, just very briefly. Uh, this architecture is really interesting. We have this like very whitewashed look with flat roofs. Uh, Also, if you look over there, this church has a very weird look with these like vaults. It's actually looking very similar to what you see in to the kind of architecture you would see in Greece or Malta or maybe like very southern parts of Spain. And there's one area which this very remind me of, which is like these little islands around Sicily. The Aeolian Islands, I think they're called. And in particular, I thought this could be Lipari, which is like the main island of the chain, since this looked kind of like a main cathedral, and Lipari is like the only notable town, or at least used to be before tourism. So I decided to just plonk it there, and I got I got within 400 meters, so it was very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I was just checking that I was still recording because I lost a previous recording. Here we are in the Baltic countries. Well, it's kind of a scary moment in country streaks. Uh, you can see a little bit of difference from the Russian round in terms of architecture. The houses here are a little bit like less like completely wooden and more like bricks or painted wood. And here I had to rely on the poles. The poles are probably your best shot against the Baltic countries, and these like all concrete poles are typical for Lithuania. So I decided to go for Lithuania, and I was correct. And yeah, unfortunately, this was a very tough round. Um, I was looking at this, and I instantly thought of Hungary because of the wintry weather, which you might have noticed. Like most of like these minor roads in Hungary are taken in the winter. It didn't look very much like Bulgaria, which is also wintry, or Czechia in terms of architecture. What gave me pause here was this partially wooden house, which I don't think I've ever seen in Hungary. However, also it looks very mountainous around here, or like mountainous, more like hilly, which is also uncommon in Hungary. However, it can happen in the northern parts, so didn't give me as much of a pause. Mm, so yeah, I was kind of yeah. Although I did think that mountain over there looked a little bit too tall for Hungary. However, I thought that the architecture just straight up didn't look Bulgarian, so uh, I didn't think much of it, and I thought maybe it's just some weird area I've never seen before. Also, this house worried me a little. However, once again, I thought maybe it's like some weirdly regional style that I just haven't noticed. So I just decided to go for Hungary. Uh, and I was actually wrong. Yeah, it was Croatia. I actually had no idea that you could get like this wintry in terms of the time of the year in Croatia. I know there's a lot of like autumn coverage in Croatia. I had no idea you could get straight up winter. So yeah, unfortunately, I paid too much attention to meta and it didn't work out for me there. However, what should have tipped me off that it wasn't Hungary. If I rewind here a little bit, look at these poles, these electricity poles. In Hungary, they usually use these concrete poles with like holes in them, as I showed you in Poland and Romania. They have a slightly different design with like a little bit shorter holes in them. Uh, yeah, these aren't the kind of poles you would see in Hungary, so that kind of should have tipped me off. But I don't know if I would have gone for Croatia anyways. It was just a weird round in terms of the weather. So yeah, unfortunately my streak ended there after 32, which isn't enough to put me on the leaderboard. But yeah, I did beat my previous record, so that was nice. Yeah, but anyway, I hope this was at least a little bit helpful with some of the commentary I provided. And once again, I thank you so much for the 500 subscribers. It's a amazing honor for me. And I hope to see you soon in one of my videos or on my streams. So, yeah, thank you and see ya.